So the topic, Pierre and I were talking about what would be a good topic for everybody, and we thought something about ethics. And this issue about reinforcement and the use of punishment has been an interest of mine pretty much ever since I've gotten into the applied field. When I was working at the biobehavioral unit, we had some people from DOE just they wanted to see what we did. And we were all told to run essentially play conditions for 2 straight days. And I remember talking to my supervisor and I said, why do we have to do that? And I was especially frustrated because the guy I was working with, because I started doing direct care, guy I was working with had just come in a week before and was highly aggressive, and we hadn't figured out a function. And he sometimes just, as far as I could tell, just started randomly beating me up. And he's like, well, they don't like functional analysis, they don't like treatments that we do, they just want to see play conditions. And sure enough, when they came through, they'd ask questions like, so, what does your day look like? And I'd say, well, he pretty much gets to do what he wants, and then we have lunch, and then he gets to have some downtime, and they're like, oh, that's wonderful. And I'm thinking, wow, how is this wonderful, right? So that was frustrating, but as my supervisor told me, he's like, they're the ones who pay the bills, right? The other one that I thought came out, years ago, but we still talk about that, and that's something called positive behavior supports. Talk about some innovative new ABA-related approach. And oftentimes they'll say things like, we don't wait for problem behavior to occur, we do antecedent interventions and those types of things. And my comment about those would be, I would hope any good behavior analyst would know something about antecedent interventions, and whenever possible, I try to prevent things from happening, all right? I don't need somebody telling me that you shouldn't use consequences or something like that. And the other time, we had a call with somebody who was trying to teach us how to do positive behavior supports with a highly aggressive, self-injurious population. And it was a national conference call, and I know we were told just to shut up, right? Don't make any bad comments. But somebody from another agency said, have you ever worked with people who, give staff concussions, try to eye gouge, things like that? And the guy on the phone said no. And she's like, how are we supposed to use just positive reinforcement with these individuals? And even he said something like, he was kind of like, well, maybe it won't work for everybody, right? And it's like, okay, but yet we're being told that that's what we have to do. So this talk isn't primarily on those things, but those are some interest to me. And at an even broader level, a few years ago, I don't know how many of you know Phil Heinlein, but he's been a professor for many years at Temple, studied under Skinner, one of our great thinkers we've ever had in our field. And he and I were talking about, I don't know how it came up, but he's like, how much do you know about the criminal justice system, or the history of the criminal justice system in this country? And I was like, probably not that much. And he said, well, did you know that, when things first started here, it was really more for rehabilitation, right? If somebody had stolen money or they were drunk or whatever, you'd put them in jail, but you try to rehabilitate them, right, and get them back on their feet. And he's like, somewhere in our country's history, it's moved more to retribution, right? It's sort of like, I'm putting you away because you did something bad, and whether you learn anything there or not our problem. All right, so our society in some ways, even though in our field, you hear people saying punishment is bad, in many ways, society has turned more into this kind of retribution and favoring punishment. So there's kind of this odd mix there as well. The other piece, and I was talking about this with our guest today, his comment was, he's like, I've been to schools and, he said people will say something, teachers, principal might say, we don't use punishment here. And then they'll be, oh, but let me show you our timeout room, all right? Or something like that. And I said, exactly, all right? So there's also, I think, a misunderstanding of really what punishment is.